There aren't very many dishes where a home cook has a natural advantage over a restaurant chef. In fact, I can only think of two, risotto and this, pasta carbonara. The reason is that they need to be made on demand and require a cook to stand at the stove non-stop for about 30 minutes. A restaurant can't do that, so they mix it up fast with cream. This is perfectly creamy, but it has no cream added. Cream doesn't belong in either risotto or carbonara. There is some technique involved here, but you'll produce the best carbonara you've ever tasted if you do this right.
We begin this with the oven is already preheated to 150 Celsius. I've got a container here with flour, and I'm going to put 2 eggs in it, buried the fat side down. Now this goes in the oven, and at the back of the stove, the water is also at a boil at this point, so I'm going to begin cooking the pasta. And in a large skillet here, I'm starting off the pancetta cooking on a medium heat, a little bit more than medium, about 7 out of 1 to 10. I'll reduce it down when it starts to the fat begins to render. And while we're waiting for the bacon to start cooking, I've got the 60 grams of parmesan cheese grated and weighed out. And I'm going to add an egg, and another egg. So I've got the parmesan and 2 whole eggs in there. We'll just give this a little stir. You can sit like this for the meantime. The pancetta is cooking away. I've reduced the heat down to about 4. We're going to slow it down. The eggs are going to be in the oven for another 22 minutes right now, so we can keep this going quite slowly. The pancetta is starting to pop, and so now I'm going to add the onion to this. As this cooks even more, I've reduced the heat further down to 2 now, because we don't want this to burn in any way. We want this to be nice and crisp. When the pasta is al dente, you're going to drain it off, put just a little bit of olive oil on it, and keep it off to the side. We're not quite ready to add it back into the rest of the dish yet. And make sure you save that pasta water, because we're going to need that in just a minute too. Okay. And finally, we're down to the last few minutes for the egg in the oven. So I'm going to stir this around a little bit. Pan heat is still very low though, it's on 3. And we have our egg and parmesan mixture here, and I'm going to add a little bit of this pasta water to this. Stir it around. You have to be careful, you don't want to actually cook the egg ahead of time here. Now I'm going to add some of this here. Remember, the heat is very low. And it's starting to thicken up. So now I'm going to add a little bit more of the pasta water directly to this. So keep it going creamy like this. And add a little bit more of the egg to this. And cheese. You can always evaporate off the water if there's too much. So you can err on the side of there being a little bit too much water. That'll be okay. And add just a little bit more of the egg to it. Just a little bit. Okay, this is looking pretty good now. So we'll let this set for just a minute. It's been another couple minutes. So this is the key here. Is you have to be patient. Don't try to do this all in one step if you want really good results. Let this cook very slowly. I've got the heat down to 2. Remember, the heat is only on 2 here. You have plenty of time, because the egg in the oven is still going. As this starts to dry out again, you can add more pasta water. I've got the rest of this egg to add too. In fact, I'm just going to do that now because we're getting close to close to the time. But you have to be careful because you'll end up turning it into a coagulated mess if you're not careful. So I'm going to add also a little bit more water to this. This is looking good. It's going to absorb all of that. At first it looks like it's too much. You won't be able to get all that cheese and egg into there. You will. You just have to do it slowly on a low heat over the course of about 10-15 minutes. A few more minutes there. The egg is really close. I'm going to add a little bit of parmesan. A little bit of parsley to this. A little bit of parsley. And you can see how this is nice and creamy. It's absorbed everything. Remember though, you've always got your secret weapon, more pasta water. If it's starting to look dry at all, add more pasta water. It's going to help it be more creamy, and it's going to keep it from sticking together, turning into a lumpy burnt goo. And keep the heat low. Do this slowly. Okay. After 30 minutes, get these into an ice bath. Move them around a little bit, cool them down. Just for 30 seconds or so. Then, when you crack these, what you'll find is that you've got some liquid part that will pour off easily. Just like this. That's what you're going to get rid of. All this. And then you've got a relatively solid part. You have to find something to set it on so you can use the torch on it. And hit it with just a few grains of smoked salt. You don't want to overdo this because you want to keep the liquid center. You don't want to overdo it because you want to keep the yolk liquid. So just do it a little bit. That's enough. I'll do one of these over here on a plate so you can see how it comes out. I think it comes out really easily. Like that, see? And then when it's on top of the pasta, which it will be in just a minute, and somebody cracks into it, you've got the nice runny liquid center like that. And you plate it by twirling the pasta around a little bit, create a little nest, and then take a spoon, gently go around the edge of the egg, and the center of the pasta, just like that.
If you want to know more about my adventures as a chef around the world and have some great laughs along the way, be sure to check out the video tour of my book, 40 Years in One Night. It's up on YouTube right now. Click the link. If you like my videos, look for my cookbook, now available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other internet bookseller sites. Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.